What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus. Put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow? Welcome to another episode of the What If Tomorrow podcast. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
And tonight we are going to be taking listeners / viewer questions. This is kind of a free-for-all tonight. If we don't have any questions pop up or if we see anything on our feed, we'll just talk about current events and go from there. First things first, where to go here? Yeah. First things first, we'll handle this and get this out of the way real quick, talking about our affiliates and all that. So do us a favor and support these guys and support our show. We would greatly appreciate it and help us grow.
Hey, this is Mark with What If Tomorrow and What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. Be sure to check out our website, whatiftomorrowmedia.com, and look at our cool merch. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, posters, and more. Our affiliates are Duke Cannon, EMP Shield, My Patriot Supply, and Conflicted the Game. Or check out buymeacoffee.com/whatiftomorrow and buy us a coffee. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and share on both Facebook and YouTube. It helps get our content out to others and help our channel grow. Now on with the show.
What's going on, Enzo? Good to see you, sir.
Yep.
Where am I at here? I'm like out of it right now. Anyway, as the show's titled, we're talking about energy woes, trade chaos, and stuff like that. We're going to kind of do a little segment also on this. If it'll load. Can you hear it? What in the world is going on here?
That's also in the title.
Yeah, did you hear it?
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, it's supposed to be our, I wonder if that's got copyrighted or something, or what in the wide world of sports is going on here? Yeah, but we're going to kind of do some discussions on that stuff. We might touch on some AI stuff because, man, it is just running
Blowing
away
up
like crazy,
fast.
man. It's only going to get faster. It's only going to get faster, and I've got some comments and stuff on it, obviously, because that's kind of where I'm at right now in that space. But, energy woes, trade chaos. I mean, obviously, the trade chaos is going nuts. Something to pay attention to with all the tariff talk. I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree, but anybody that listens to the show will probably have a good idea where I line up. But there's a lot going on. The Russian-Ukraine, I can't even talk, the Russian-Ukraine war, which I think they're working towards a ceasefire on. I've kind of been out of the loop for the last few days. It's disrupting the commodity flows. I've seen where Europe is actually starting to buy natural gas from Russia, and that line got blown up. So who's sabotaging that? I don't know. That's a good question to ask. Ukraine being a huge wheat producer, all that stuff going on has a bearing on this. Sanctions, conflict have hit Russia. Exports of critical minerals, 30% of global palladium. I don't even know what palladium is used for. I guess I could do the research. I guess electronics and automotive, in the electronics and automotive sectors. As of January 2025, there's a report that noted these disruptions are pushing companies towards nearshoring or friendshoring to mitigate risk, though this shift is slow and costly. Red Sea shipping crisis. I never even heard of this until I just kind of did a quick research. And all this is through Grok. Okay, I'm just full transparency. Houthi attacks in the Red Sea escalated since late 2023. They have forced shipping companies to reroute vessels around the Cape of Good Hope, adding weeks and up to 15% to shipping cost. A March 2025 update from the Supply Chain Dive highlighted that this has cut global maritime capacity significantly, with spot rates spiking in early 2025 as importers rush to stockpile goods ahead of tariff threats. This ties directly into the supply chain crisis by inflating costs and delaying goods like semiconductors and consumer products. U.S. supply chain pressures. In the U.S., this says the supply chain, or in early 25, it faced a potential dock worker strike, which that's been averted. Palladium, Mark posted primary use in a catalytic converter for automobiles. Oh man, the meth heads will be out after that stuff, won't they? They need to go to Russia.
Right.
But it also finds applications in jewelry, dentistry, electronics, and a catalyst in various industrial processes.
Yeah, it's a white metal similar to platinum.
Gotcha. Okay. They're saying the tariffs from the Trump administration are threatening to disrupt imports from Canada, Mexico, and China, potentially spiking costs and reviving bottlenecks seen in 2021 and 2022. This uncertainty is already prompting preemptive stockpiling, echoing past crisis patterns. I haven't seen too much of the stockpiling. Have you, Mark? I haven't.
I haven't.
I go to the store at least once a week.
No, I mean, I've not really noticed any shortage. We get most of our stuff delivered now. We've got Walmart Plus. So we just order stuff and it shows up in the afternoon. But we haven't had
that's
any.
Nice, man. It's
any excessive shortages that I've noticed. Some things, you always run into a shortage here or there, and you're just when you're not going to the store.
Right. But my wife and we went grocery shopping yesterday. I'm like, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I don't see it happening right now. So I don't really know. I maybe somewhere it is, but around here it's not. Not compared to what did they say, 21 and 22?
Right.
It was nuts in 2021 and 22, especially the
Right.
COVID and
everybody remembers
saying,
the toilet paper shortage.
Right. As the first time I'd ever seen the aisles, all the food and stuff just like bare. And luckily we had some preps. The great sriracha shortage. And that's right. They finally have it back out now, which is great. I love sriracha. But let's see. Energy costs and supply chain linkages. Soaring energy prices driven by the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the Middle East tensions have ripple effects on supply chains. A February 2025 APQC study noted 84% of surveyed companies adjusted strategies due to the fuel and storage cost hikes since 22. With gas prices still above 2016 baselines, Cuba's fuel import struggles tied to Venezuela's decline, and Europe's resilience on Russian gas disrupted since 22 exemplify how energy shortages amplify logistics delays and costs at key supply chain pressure point. Technology and resilience effort. A January 2025 extensive report highlighted that while macro disruptions eased by 23, new challenges like extreme weather, 2024's record hurricane season, and geopolitical shifts keep supply chains volatile. Companies are countering with the tech. 74% of supply chain leaders in a Descartes Systems Group study, January 25, cited advanced analytics as critical for demand forecasting and resilience though adoption lags in smaller firms. So I guess it's out there. I don't see the supply chain shortage. I'm looking. I see gas prices lowering, egg prices lowering. I think some other groceries are lowering. They're still expensive. Still advise, prep how you can when you can.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're ever going to go back to, the lower cost groceries and all that. But make do with what you can. That's the biggest thing I could tell anyone. Make do within your budget. I'm hearing stories. You have was it a firm? Some of these other. Oh Lord, what is it? I know a firm. There's something else where you can get a loan, a quick loan, and pay it out over a year or 6 months or whatever. At crazy interest rates. I'm hearing people are having to do that for groceries to get approved. They have to go through and approve it, because if you had big purchases, like $500-$600 purchases, you can go through these things, get an approval. It doesn't really, I don't believe it really bases on your credit or whatever. It bases on your income or something. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% on them.
I fell into the personal loan trap, and getting out of that is hard. And once you do, you need to stay out of it. It will eat all your money in a hurry. I know. It's a trap. And I still get letters. Get $500 now.
Right. You pay 120% interest and crap like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are using these services to get groceries. To me, that's crazy.
Yeah. It just raises the cost.
Most people are probably like you and I. You might go once a week and restock, or once every couple of weeks, or however you grocery shop. That's once a week or every 2 weeks. If you can't afford to pay for your groceries, you really should, and I'm not a financial advisor by any stretch of the imagination, but you should really reevaluate where your money's going.
Yeah. Start cutting costs elsewhere.
Yeah. Don't go out to eat as much, or stop DoorDash. I hear that. I've never DoorDashed. They probably take forever to find my house anyway.
They'll get lost. Everybody does.
But yeah, I don't even know if they'd come out here. But I understand the convenience, but you're paying something is it? I've never done it. I heard it's $12, maybe 12% or something like that. More adds more to your bill.
Yeah.
Plus the whole tipping culture crap that's going on. Everybody expects a tip.
Everybody expects,
and I'm okay tipping
tip.
your delivery drivers, right? But I when I was living in town, I would tip people, the pizza delivery guy or whatever, because he's putting gas in his vehicle and stuff like that. I don't mind that a bit, because they're driving, using their gas to come bring me food. But yeah, the increase. Yeah, 4 easy installments. That's kind of what I was talking about, Chris. Chris said DoorDash is now offering you to pay in 4 easy installments. That's crazy. If you
won't have any money,
DoorDash 4 easy installments, stop ordering DoorDash.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Look for places to cut costs.
Right. Cook at home. If you don't know how to cook, YouTube is great for recipes and learn how to cook. Pull up some Gordon Ramsay.
There's lots of very tasty frozen dinners.
Right. They're not that healthy, but man, they'll fill a hole.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give somebody a plug. Crazy. Stouffer's actually has the best Alfredo sauce of any Alfredo sauce I've ever eaten.
Oh, really?
And in a frozen freaking dinner. I was like,
right.
My mind was totally blown. So, there's decent stuff out there.
I do like their big lasagnas. I'm not a huge lasagna guy. every now and again I enjoy lasagna, but those take and bake frozen lasagnas they make,
Mm-hmm.
they're good.
We
They're
like the
really
veggie
good.
ones.
Yeah, I've never
So,
had. I gotta get like the 3 meat or the extra meat or whatever it is. But yeah, Enzo, I'm pretty sure it is. I've never door dashed. Let's ask Grok. How about we do that?
there you go. Ask. Somebody's got to answer our
I've got him
questions.
pulled up anyway. Right. What is the average cost of? Oh, not off. I can't type. Man, I can't do nothing. I can't talk. I can't type.
I can't speak.
Yeah, it says it's been a whole bunch. Holy cow! When he like wrote a book. Here, I'll share this real quick so you can see it. I mean, it broke it down. Average cost of DoorDash order varies depending on several factors, including the price of food, delivery fees, service fees, taxes, and optional tips. Here's a breakdown based on available information. Food cost. The base price of the meal is set by the restaurant, but prices on DoorDash are often slightly higher than in in-store prices to offset commission fees charged to merchants. For example, a $5.09 Big Mac at McDonald's might cost $6.39 on DoorDash, or a $9.45 Chipotle burrito could rise to $11.85. Delivery fee. This type typically ranges from $1.99 to $5.99 per order, though it can increase during high demand for for longer distances. Some sources note a standard delivery fee of around $3.99, but it varies by location and time. This is usually about 10 to 15% of the order subtotal, with a minimum fee of around $4. For smaller orders, this can significantly increase the total cost. For example, a $20 meal might incur a $2 to $3 service fee. Small order fee orders under $15 may include an additional fee of about $2.50 to make the trip worthwhile for drivers. Taxes, tip is optional. Tipping is optional. See, can't talk, can't type. Tipping is optional but customary, with a standard range of 10 to 20% of the order total. Common tips amounts suggested in the app are $2, $3, or $4, but users can customize this. Wow. Okay, so I'll just get to the conclusion. On average, a DoorDash order for one person tends to range from $20 to $35, including all fees and a modest tip, for a meal that would cost $10 to $20 in the store. Costs can escalate quickly for smaller orders due to fixed fees for larger orders with multiple items. The exact amount depends on location, restaurant pricing, and tipping habits, but this range reflects common experiences as of March 2024. Wow, $20 to $35. And Enzo, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never done. Enzo said he can't imagine it's still warm by the time you get it. Yeah. And yes, it's expensive. Yeah, triple the price for a few. Right. Obviously it's expensive, $20 to $35. But if you have to take out 4 easy installments for $20 or $35, your priorities are screwed up.
Yeah.
You don't need to be going out to eat. Gee whiz. No, I get, if you're ordering a family or whatever, that's going to quadruple or whatever, however many people you have in your family. But still, if you have to take out 4 easy payments,
yeah,
that's nuts. Wow. That blows my mind. Let's see where we go here. That's the wrong one.
So did you see where a cruise ship told their passengers to go turn the lights out in their cabins because there was a pirate risk?
No, I didn't.
So, yeah, let's see. Only essential deck lights will be on, and to reduce the ship's external lighting, also suggests you turn off your stateroom lights and close the curtains to your stateroom, bedroom, and bathroom. Let's see, what was this? Cunard's Queen Anne cruise ship crossing from Darwin, Australia to Manila, Philippines.
Wow.
So, now, see, this is just a sign of things are getting bad worldwide when you start seeing piracy to this point. I mean, they shut down the company that was doing the pirate cruises around Somalia. They were loading people up on a ship and letting you bring all your firearms and cruising around in pirate waters to see if they'd get attacked. I guess things ended badly for several would-be pirates, but
Yep. Some humanitarian organization probably stepped in, didn't they?
Yeah,
I don't know.
You
exactly
can't do
what
that.
happened, but
This was a couple of years ago, so I don't remember all the
Enzo
details.
talking about DoorDash. Enzo said that's a lot of groceries, and you should already have in your house, right? How many meals can you make for that much?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so everybody in the chat, is there any questions you guys have pertaining to preparedness, thoughts on things, anything like that?
Yep. Come one, come all. Ask your questions. We have answers. Smart answers cost money.
Right.
Or we'll ask Grok because I got no clue on some stuff.
Have you seen what they just discovered at the pyramids?
No, I haven't
going
seen
around
anything
anywhere?
recently.
Let's see. Yeah, this is off of Your News. It says a new radar-based study has uncovered extensive underground formations beneath Egypt's Khafre Pyramid, challenging long-held assumptions about the Giza Plateau. Sorry. Recent findings from groundbreaking remote sensing study using synthetic aperture radar. SAR has unveiled massive underground structures beneath the Khafre Pyramid, the second largest of the three Giza pyramids. The study conducted by Corrado Malinga of the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi of the University of Strathclyde employed SAR Doppler tomography. These are big words. A non-invasive radar technique capable of detecting millimetric vibrations and revealed internal formations previously unknown to Egyptology. Do I have to stinking subscribe to this?
Yeah, you about have to on anything good.
No. Oh, here we go. I'm trying to sum this up. So, beneath these structures, research detected 8 cylindrical formations believed to be vertical walls, each encircled by descending spiral paths. The wells arranged in 2 north-south parallel rows, descended approximately 648 meters below the surface, where they converge into 2 massive cubic structures, each measuring around 80 meters per side. The entire formation reportedly extends nearly 2 kilometers underground, stretching beneath the full extent of the Giza Pyramid complex.
That is pretty interesting.
Mainstream. Yeah, I don't know how much truth is there. Hey, there's my wife. Enzo said he has doubts on the technology using this discovery, quote unquote. He said it would be amazing if true, but he needs a little more info. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are saying that I've seen. I haven't done a ton of looking into it. But there's and it's a couple of Italian scientists or whatever. My dogs are barking outside, kind of distracting me. But so there's a lot left to be revealed to this, because I guess the Egyptian art office, of the man, dogs are distracting me. Not architecture. What am I thinking of? Archaeology or whatever. They aren't saying anything about it or whatever. So who knows? I find it interesting and something to watch and see if what comes into it. Enzo said the 2 kilometer Office of Antiquities. Yeah, that's it. That 2 kilometer part was supposed to mean how far the tunnel network beneath the pillars on boxes extended, not 2 kilometer straight down. Okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. But it's still fascinating. Because does that mean the Egyptians didn't build it? Because the kids and I were kind of talking about it this evening. My son was telling me that, hang on just a second. I got to check this out.
All right. Yeah, they're barking at Bowser because he's out again. I mean, it may be the pig. Oh, that's Andrea, so that's probably what exactly is going on. The Office Antiquities will always be against any research that says Egyptians didn't build the pyramids. There's probably a second part coming up here. So, yeah. Now, there's evidence to suggest, although it's tenuous, that the Egyptians got a bootstrap from a previous civilization that we would all call Atlantis. And there are all kinds of signs of lost cities out there in the desert. So maybe it's older, maybe it's not. The Egyptians were amazing builders. We know they can go up. Surely they can go down as well.
Right.
We've seen huge cities around Turkey that held thousands and thousands of people built underground. So why couldn't they have built it? Seems like it'd be a good place to stash stuff too, like gold.
Right.
Yeah,
obviously,
obviously, as much as
our
there's
board's out.
Flooding and stuff over the centuries, nothing really delicate would probably be down there. But you might be surprised. If there's something like that.
What about? I guess we're kind of getting off on this, but that's okay. From my understanding, the Sahara used to be like a jungle.
Yeah, it was green,
or whatever happened. What's to say that it wasn't built before, and all this sand and stuff from like wind and all that piled up around them. Who knows how tall they are or whatever. We may just be seeing the tip.
Right.
That you're seeing the meme out there or whatever with just the tip of the obelisk or whatever. So who knows? I mean, I find it interesting.
Now, there's a theory that the Sahara flooded 12 to 15,000 years ago suddenly and washed a good deal of the landscape off the coast of Africa. It's actually a mudslide off the coast of the Atlas Mountains that is approximately the size of Florida. So who knows what's buried in that came off the surface. So again, pyramids are already a mystery.
Yeah.
How they built them, adding a few 100-meter basement. I mean, they probably built it on. Honestly, they probably built it on top of the basement after the basement was dug.
Probably. Yep. Yeah, I know my kids. We were talking about it, and on the way home earlier, and I don't know where the conversation came from, but uh, my son was saying, "Dad, it was aliens," and my daughter's like, "No, it wasn't. It was like one or two guys that were pushing those big blocks." I was like, "Well, it had to be more than that if they were pushing those big blocks, But
well, think
from,
about
from
this.
the mouth of a 10 and 8-year
Oh
old.
yeah. Think about this. The Egyptians weren't the first ones to build the pyramids. The Kushites were. And both the Kushites and the Egyptians liked to create underground tombs. What is to say that at some point they built a very elaborate underground tomb, and Khufu and his family came along later and said, "Well, we don't like that guy. Let's wipe him out of history and build our stuff on top of him, and nobody will ever see it again." Because that's just kind of petty things that they did.
Yeah. Yeah, Enzo said the entire Giza Plateau is solid limestone. And there have been some natural caves in the area, but nothing on that scale.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how would they, with that technology, I don't even know if we could really recreate it today. But with the technology, several thousand years ago, how could they cut the limestone? That's my question, I guess. I can't wrap my head around that.
Limestone's super soft, so you should be able to cut it fairly efficiently, even with bronze tools. So,
yeah,
or stone tools. If you're using malachite, malachite's harder than a lot of metals. So, malachite hammers and wedges would work dandily for a lot of that. It's a copper ore, but it's incredibly hard. It's what a
oh, just lost Mark. It was riveting. I'm sure he'll be back here in a second.
There we go. That's what a geologist would call a hammer bouncer. Malachite.
A what? I'm sorry.
A hammer bouncer.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah.
He got cut off. So, Mark,
that's what happened.
Secrets out.
Too many secrets. So, I could see all sorts of plausible things where that could be. I really don't think aliens had anything to do with the pyramids or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But our ancestors were a lot more intelligent and a lot more crafty than we might think.
Oh yeah, I believe that. I mean, that just the shows that we've taken those deep dives on and stuff like that from back then. I mean, the knowledge that they had.
Oh yeah.
I mean, showed how intelligent they were. I mean, they figured out the circumference of the Earth and all that within, I mean, very nominal margin.
Yeah. The Egyptians had concrete.
I mean, they were right.
So is that train on your side or my side?
It's got to be your side.
Yeah. It's a blowing and going there.
Yep.
Yep, it's on my side.
But I guess there's some energy issues going too.
Yeah.
Not that it really matters. I mean, there's Ukraine's energy grid, Texas grid failures in last month. That's all about because the freezing gas lines and all that. So I mean, there's things to think about. Did you see over in England where that transformer was blown up? It was either blown up or blew up. I mean, I like I said, I've kind of been out of the loop, but I've just kind of saw snippets. But they may suspect a little bit of terrorist activity over there too, from my understanding. They had basically shut down the airport and diverted flights, caused delays and all that stuff because of power issues. I really think that's something that we should seriously look at. It is just the possibility of sabotage for our electrical grid, and we've talked about it many times, the possibility of it. But yeah, I think it's a huge possibility. Actors that are wanting to strike out of the U.S., or even in some instances, it may be somebody in the U.S. that does this. Our president is definitely stirring up a hornet's nest across the border, the southern border with the cartels, deemed them terrorist organizations. But they already, they have people here. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit, and I'm just speculating, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they have ties to the Middle East, Hamas or one of those organizations. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a huge possibility. And Enzo, he brought up a good question. He says he's seen some hand waving over the 2008 level depression coming soon. What do I think? I absolutely think it's a possibility. I really think with tariffs, my own personal opinion, this all has to be done right. I mean, I know we're only a few months into this new administration. Personally, I'm liking what I'm seeing, the steps being taken. I want to see people start going to jail. That's my opinion on that. But as for a 2008 style depression, I think like I said, it's a fine line that has to be walked. With everything that's happening with our economy, with, like I said, the tariffs, with the taxation, I mean, it's going to be tough to get through. I think we were on the way regardless. I think we're on the way. But how long and how bad this thing lasts is going to depend on walking this fine line, because even the president has said that we're going to take a hit. I'm paraphrasing. And we're going to take a hit, but it's going to get better, because he feels, that with the steps being taken, with the cutting the taxes and turn around and adding tariffs, and seeing the numbers that we are being charged tariff wise, they're all up in arms. Canada, Mexico, China, all these people we kind of touched on a little bit ago with the supply chain issues. We're getting raked over the coals when it comes to our goods going to them. They're like charging 225% tariffs crossing the border, and our president bad for now is saying no. Right, they're up in arms because we're wanting to charge them 25-30%. I thought it was supposed to be free trade. I mean, I know he turned over NAFTA. His last administration, he got out of it, but to be truly free trade, my opinion is we need to have an equal amount of tariffs.
Right?
You guys charge us 250%, we charge you 250%. Then it's fair, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, I absolutely think a depression is coming, and I'm
it's
not pointing
inevitable
fingers to either side. It is, and it's cyclical. It's always cyclical.
It is cyclical.
I think it depends on what they do to get out of it. Yeah.
The question isn't in any given time frame or generation, is there going to be a collapse? Is there going to be a depression or a recession or whatever? It is inevitable. It's going to happen. There are things you can do to make them come on faster. There are things you can do to make them come on slower. The trick is, instead of having a hard crash, is to have uh, a soft crash. That's the trick. And then the other trick is to not to make it last forever. Now I'm going to make some people mad when I say this, but the so-called Great Depression was not the deepest depression to ever hit. The reason it was so bad is because the government would not keep their fingers out of it. If everything had been left alone, in no more than 2 years, we would have gotten out of it. But as it is, it lasted and lasted and lasted because everybody had their little fingers in it. And while I can't prove it, I would almost tell you that a lot of lawmakers and groups made a lot of money off the Depression and the backs of the American people while this was going on. So that's an opinion. I'm just going to throw it out there.
All right. Having a little fun with this too, but I typed Enzo. I typed your question into Grok. And I'm telling you, this is some amazing stuff with AI. My suggestion, though, is learn to use it. Don't let it use you, because it will. You'll start treating it like it's a person, like through a text message. I'm guilty of it, and I had to stop and step back and say, hey, no, this is a tool. Use it as a tool. Treat it like a tool. You don't have to be kind to it. You don't have to, none of that stuff. It's a great search engine. And I think eventually it's going to be more than that. That's my disclaimer. But anyway, I typed in exactly what you typed in, Zoe. Said, I've seen some hand waving over 2008 level depression coming soon. What do you think? And it says, predicting whether we're headed for a 2008 level economic depression or something even worse requires sifting through a mix of data, trends, and informed speculation. The 2008 financial crisis, often called the Great Recession, was marked by a housing bubble collapse, a banking crisis, and a sharp GDP drop. 4.3% peak to trough in the U.S. With unemployment hitting 10%, it was a brutal systemic shock. So let's break down the current chatter about a repeat in 2025 or beyond and whether it holds water. First, the hand waving you're seeing likely stems from a few loud voices like economist Harry Dent, who's been predicting a massive stock market crash for 2025, worse than 2008. With S&P drops up to 86% and NASDAQ plunging 92%, he's pointing to an everything bubble inflated by over 14 years of loose monetary policy, far longer than the typical 5 to 6 year cycles. Others like Steve Hank peg a 56% chance of a U.S. recession by mid-2025, citing shrinking M2 money supply and unsustainable debt levels. These are bold claims, and they're getting traction because people remember 2008's pain. Now, let's look at the evidence. The U.S. economy isn't flashing the same red lights as 2007 and 8. Back then, subprime mortgages and over-leveraged banks were ticking time bombs, specific, identifiable triggers. Today, household debt to GDP is lower, around 75% in 2023 versus 97% in 2006. And banks are better capitalized post-Dodd-Frank. Housing isn't in a bubble like last time. Prices are high, but it's more about supply shortages than speculative frenzy. GDP growth is slowing, projected at 1.5% for 2024 by the Congressional Budget Office, but that's not a nosedive. Unemployment's still low, around 4.1% as of late 2024, nowhere near pre-2008 warning levels. That said, there are cracks. Consumer confidence is wobbly. Posts on X and reports like the Conference Board's index show pessimism creeping in, which could cut spending and drag demand. Federal debt is astronomical, hitting 116% of GDP by 2034 per CBO forecast. And rising interest rates could strain borrowers if the Fed doesn't pivot soon. Trade policies like Trump's proposed tariffs could spark a manufacturing slump or even stagflation, as UCLA's Anderson School warns. In the financial sector, elevated asset valuations and new risks, think crypto or commercial real estate, could amplify a downturn if something breaks. But here's the rub. A recession isn't a depression. The Great Recession was bad, but a true depression like the 1930s was 25% unemployment and a 10% GDP drop. Needs more than a stock market correction or a trade spat. ITR Economics talks about 2030s Great Depression, not 2025, tied to a long-term demographic and debt trends. For 2025, JP Morgan models peg recession odds at 20%, not a collapse. The Fed's got tools, rate cuts, quantitative easing, and it didn't fully deploy until late 2008 and is more proactive now. So what do I think? The hand waving has merit. There's enough smoke, debt, tariff sentiment to worry about a fire. A recession in 2025 isn't off the table. It's plausible if consumer spending tanks or policy missteps pile up. But a 2008 level depression, that's a stretch without a clear catalyst like the housing implosion, like the housing implosion last time. The economy's got resilience, strong labor markets, corporate earnings, but it's not invincible. Keep an eye on debt servicing costs and geopolitical wildcards. For now, it's more likely we see a bumpy slowdown than a full-on crash. Still, don't sleep on it. Things can turn fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty interesting how fast this thing can come up with an answer.
Right.
But what I'm finding is you have to learn the correct way of asking, because a lot of times, because I'm working on something and using ChatGPT's DALL-E, the image creator. The image creator will create an image, and you can tell, well, hey, I don't want this on the image. I want the same image, but with this removed. It'll pretty much post it, come up with the new image, and it'll still have that there. And they're like, here's your image with this removed. No, it's still there. Then you kind of get an argument with it. So it's still in the infancy, or what I've heard is like it's a teenager right now. It wants to argue with you sometimes. And it makes sense. But this thing learns so fast, and it's just extremely interesting for me. And as Elon Musk put it, we're at the event horizon. We're at the edge of the waterfall. We've just realized, hey, we can't get out of this. We're going over. So again, my advice to you is learn how to use it. Because if not, it will use you. Learn how to use it. Learn what it's good for. And like I said, I truly believe that AI will definitely replace like Google or your search engine or whatever, because information is so fast coming up. I mean, I typed that in while I think Mark was talking. Bam, had the answer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I mean, it is. It's impressive, but you kind of have to be wary too. And I say you want to learn how to use it. That way, you know when to get off the train.
Yeah.
Learn what it can do now, because there's going to be a point in time that you're going to want to get off that train. I mean, some people will, some people won't. So
yeah, that's true.
That's just my 2 cents on it.
So when we've talked about this many times, there is a chance. There is always a chance for some sort of economic failure. So again, I'm gonna bring in, invest in precious metals, invest in things that have physical value. Stocks and bonds go up and down all the time. You gain money, you lose money, you gain money, you lose money. But a lot of these physical things you can invest in retain value. So energy companies is a good one to invest in. Speaking of investing, in the U.S., the development and deployment of small modular reactors is gaining traction. We've got companies like Holotech, X Energy, and NuScale, along with Google and Amazon, investing in small nuclear reactors. That would be an amazing thing for our grid. These modular reactors, you can build a facility with a footprint a tenth of the size of a regular nuclear reactor. And since they use factory-made reactors and not a custom, every reactor out there is different. They're custom made. There's no two the same. It lets you scale to the size of your city, the size of your market. But then if you have, you can shut one down and just replace the module. Then they can recycle it or whatever they're going to do. So
yeah, the tech is definitely there, and I think we as a nation, instead of roads and bridges and all that stuff, because that's really a state and local thing,
right?
Aside from your interstate, but how far are we from an interstate? Where we live at.
It's a ways. It's
80 miles.
Drive.
Yeah, it's a ways to go. So I mean, sure, there are federal highways and all that, but really, when you hear all these congressmen, roads and bridges and all that, Doge is showing us that they're lining their pockets more than they're paying for infrastructure. I think we as a nation need to make it a priority to start building these nuclear reactors, because AI is going to need that power. And if they don't, where are they going to pull it from?
Industry needs that power.
Absolutely it does. Absolutely.
You want cheaper products in the store? Make the power cheaper for the companies that build the products.
Right.
And that savings will be passed on down to you.
Nuclear energy has gotten such a bad rap. Sure, it's a bad thing if it melts down or whatever. But how often does that happen to nuclear reactors and stuff, especially newer ones?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't built any for decades in the United States.
They're bringing 3 Mile Island back online.
Right. We have one, 60, 70 miles from us, straight north.
Yeah.
But
that went online in the 80s.
Yeah. Statistically, it's the cleanest, safest form of energy production. But it's gotten so, such a stigma behind it being nuclear energy.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer. It really is. You want to get away from coal? Go nuclear.
I've seen, and that would make your electric cars more economically viable, by the way, and lower their carbon footprint for real, because if you stop using coal, the carbon footprint, your electric car has a bigger carbon footprint than my gas car. I'm sorry. Because it's powered by coal-fired power plants. The only way to escape that, now I'm not going to talk about that toxic battery in there and the fires and the toxic fumes that they put off, but
and all that,
that's terrible. But if you really were serious about reducing the carbon footprint, you would be putting these things on every street corner. I am glad to see that there has been a huge investment in research on liquid salt and thorium reactors in the last few years. as well as the small modular reactors. So people are getting the message. The money is being spent. We need to fast track this. It's best for Americans. It's best for the world. Much of the world already depends on nuclear power. We know how to do it better. We don't have to build these giant, fragile systems that can melt down at the drop of a hat. We have the technology to make them safe. We just have to spend the money and do it. And we can have cheap power. And that helps you and me with our electric bills. That helps big companies with their electric bills. That saves everybody money and makes the world cleaner. Sorry, let me get off my soapbox.
And in my opinion, it's even. No, you're good. Just don't fall. It's even better than solar and wind. It's definitely more sustainable, and and it's more efficient.
Yeah. And you don't have to bury the blades in a landfill because they can't be recycled.
Right. Right. But, well, man, I don't have a lot more.
I really don't either.
Yeah, and my boar is out, so I'm gonna have to go help put it up. So
well,
that's
hopefully
what my dogs are barking at.
So hopefully he lets you catch him.
He's actually pretty easy to go in. He's actually pretty. Well, we've got him in a new pen, so he's testing it and testing us and all that. So,
Phil got a D on his.
So I'm gonna go help get him in. Yep. I mean, he really is. He's a big puppy dog. He really is. He's intimidating. He really. I mean, he's definitely intimidating. I mean, he's probably 450. He's a big pig, but just don't let him not eat all day and feed him, because he'll come running, and that's a lot of pig to to come running at you. That gets a little scary. But if he's full, and yeah, he's content. He's like a puppy dog. But yeah, man,
sounds like me.
Scratch your belly and call it good. He will. My wife, we were out working. I was out working on his fence here, I don't know, a month or so ago, and my wife started giving him scratches, and that sucker just rolled over on his side. He laid
Love me.
Just let her scratch him. Yeah, that's what it is too.
Love me.
But yeah. With that being said, everybody, we do appreciate you. We appreciate hanging out with you, and we just enjoy having you in the chat. Thanks for the question. It's always fun to do it. I mean, maybe we got to do it more, but do us a favor and like and share and all that good stuff. You guys know what to do. Help us grow. If you think somebody like our content, do us a favor and let somebody know. Pass it on. We're trying to grow this year, and to bigger and better things. I mean, we're trying to improve.
Yeah.
So if you have suggestions on how to improve, by all means, shoot us a message or email us or something like that,
and tell us what you want us to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, it's
we
your
want to
show
get
too.
you guys more involved, because this is absolutely your show. So if anyway, folks, we do appreciate everything, and we will see you next episode.
Good night.